Good evening, everybody. As I'm finishing a swallow of Coke and dealing with a little toothache tonight, welcome to the Triple H, the Husker Happy Hour. We're coming off a big, wild, ugly, but somehow weirdly high-scoring win against Michigan State. I tell you what, halfway through the third quarter, I thought my advice to take the Michigan State in the unders was looking really good. And then all of a sudden, just the scoring started. And what was that final? 38-27. So the over-under was like 48.5, 49.5. And this thing goes to, and it just reminded me so much of Rutgers last year. Hot, windy, nobody can throw the ball. Nobody can really move the ball effectively. I think we had more of a just direct north to south, so you had a huge wind advantage, and boy, did it show. But I was not expecting, and by the yards gained, it's kind of weird. 38-27 is your final, and that sounds like a lot of yards. Nobody got to 300. I believe we won the yardage battle, something like 260 to 240, and that was it. So that was a strange number of points. Now, granted, we had the scoop and score on the touchdown, or on the block punt for a touchdown. And right in, one thing I kind of like to do is if there was any good stuff in the Monday or Tuesday press conferences, I like to share that. And Holgorsen and even Butler were feeling it today. Holgorsen got warmed up. He was talking about the play that kind of broke the floodgates open for Nebraska. They get the ball back with 2:32. I'm in the press box talking with guys going, what I just want to do is hold on to the ball long enough, almost pretend I'm trying to run out, even though we're down a touchdown. I was thinking, let's pretend like that we're trying to run the clock out with 2:30 to go in the game. And we just want to get that clock to zero and keep possession of the ball, because then the field's going to flip. We're going to get the wind. And it's starting out like, we're not going to move it, but we're not exactly running the clock out because we had two quick incompletions. And then somebody hits their route a little wrong, and Jacory breaks around it, finds that seam deep. Raiola's running right with him, spots him, zips one there, and Holgorsen's talking about that today and goes, well, that pass didn't look like it was affected by the wind very much, but that was the 45-yarder. We're on our way down, I think. Emmett runs for like 7 and then runs it in from 22 yards for a touchdown. And much as I was thinking at the time, it's funny, I was thinking like the coaches for a change instead of, I'm thinking they should do something different. They do what they want to do and it's right and I'm wrong, which is how it usually works out. But this time, what it was that Holgorsen said, he goes, he makes the crack about that pass going, but he said when Emmett scored, he goes, and I knew the game was over. And that's kind of how I felt. I just felt like there's no way in hell they're going to win now. The worst thing we can do is start turning it over, doing Husker stuff for the last 10 years to try and find a way to lose the game. That's the only way we're going to lose it, because they're not going to do a thing into that wind, and they really didn't until they brought in their backup, and he got that last touchdown. After everything had basically been decided at that point. It didn't make him happy. Like the players, the coaches, the defensive coaches rule, where none of them were happy about that last drive, where I look at that guy's name and think I know how to pronounce it, and then what's coming out of the speakers was something completely different. So I'm just going to call him their backup quarterback with the really long last name. So anyway, let's see. Let's get here. Justin Rogie had said hi, and I said the tooth pain, and he's like, yeah, some of that little Jack. Well, not Jack. You guys know what I'm putting in here. But for once, it really is for medicinal purposes, and it keeps that corner of my mouth kind of chill. Let's see. Uh-oh. I believe this is the enemy sneaking in here. All of Humpty Dumpty's men won't be able to put Matt Rule back together again after this road blowout loss. They could very well lose the rest of the season, and why not? And Iowa says hello. Suck at Iowa, but that is pretty funny. I don't mind the enemy sneaking aboard for a little trolling because that's pretty damn funny. But anyway, So anyway, Holgerson gets up there, and let's see, what did he say? We were talking about, Carter Nelson. I'm getting, I don't know if I'm even having to read between the lines that much. They're ready for Carter Nelson to step up now, and I don't think he quite is yet. He made a showing for himself on special teams, good and bad, Saturday. He picks up the block punt, steps in the end zone with it for a touchdown, and then clips on Jacory Barney when he housed that punt return, and it came back because of blocking the back. I was originally told that it was really bad because the guy he blocked didn't have a chance to get him. I kind of disagree. I think that block in the back might have taken him right out of the play, and he almost blocked two guys in the back. So if he almost took two guys out, then you at least give him some gold stars for trying. But a lot of what Holgerson had to say was kind of leaning on, son, your time is now. You're a step above, and it's time to step up and get on the training and start playing and practicing at a rate that will get you in these games. So, but anyway, it was pretty funny because he goes, that was a great play you made on that scoop and score on Khan's block punt. He goes, he really didn't do anything. And if you think about it, true, it's just he was kind of standing there, just kind of bounced up to him, and if he wasn't already in the end zone, I think he just had to take half a step, and there he was. But then also, let's see, also on that one, because he was saying that he didn't see the and we'll be joined here in just a sec. I'll finish this real quick. He didn't see Carter pick it up, but he said he saw the block by Jameer Khan and said Khan had a great block, and he goes, and by the way, I got attacked by Eckler on that one. And he said, he goes, I was one of the victims because, Eckler was just in full Mike Eckler mode with special teams. And, I mean, he is sitting there shoving the players, and they're like, hey, up yours, and they're shoving him back, and he's getting knocked back about 5 yards and just laughing his ass off. And so he was in full psycho sideline Mike Eckler mode, and that was just wonderful to see. But who do we have here? Hey everybody, it's Mylie. Holy crap, she's got stuff in the background. It's Celtic stuff, but at least it's not just a blank gray wall. We've got Connor with you got the TV sound going, and Connor's over there.
You can hear the TV?
Yeah.
Oh, oops.
A little bit. We'll suffer through, and I'll tell you to turn it down if it gets annoying, but I think it's all right. So anyway, guys, you've been asking for Mylie. I don't know if Pitt Snipe's here yet. He gets into his vodka or tequila and whatever the heck he's smoking, and then he starts calling Mylie out, wanting to hassle her. Well, jump in, Pitt. She's here. Mylie's here to talk with us a little bit about volleyball, and I thought, what better of a time coming off the weekend where they just beat the tits right off of Penn State. It was absolutely hilarious. What was that first one? Was it 25-6?
Yeah, 25-6.
25-15 and what, 25-14?
Maybe. Okay, I need to take these headphones out.
Okay. Oh, well, they do sound great in there, and your picture's gone.
What is happening?
There you go. Okay. Hey, by the way, just so everybody can hear it, I got a new mic. I can't use it tonight because my splitter became undeliverable, so whatever that means, they forgot to pack it probably. But so I had to reorder my C splitter so I can have the camera and the mic. But if that works, I've got extra mics and an extra camera, and I'll give those to you so you don't have that cave look, and the tinny sound ought to go away too.
I changed my mic to my AirPods.
Actually,
can you still hear the TV?
Yeah, no, not really. It's not a problem now. But also, it sounds a lot clearer too. But anyway, so tell us a little bit of what's going on with Penn State, if you could, and feel free to throw in Caroline Juravicious so we can have a chuckle there. But start with Izzy Stark and just what you have to do to run arguably the best player on your team out of the place for doing absolutely nothing wrong whatsoever, and take it away.
Okay, well, this is all allegedly. I don't want to put it out there like it's real news. But, okay,
Let me put it this way. Here's the
allegedly,
way, real quick. Here's the way I like to put it is, it is my best guess, but it's what seems to make the most logical sense. So then you're not saying you know it's true, but logic tells you this seems most likely. All right.
okay. So allegedly, she arrived to preseason with a bunch of bruises and missed a bunch of like team activities. And so her teammates went to her coaches, and the coaches then went to the athletic department. And then Izzy Stark refused the concerns, and sounds like it all came to a head right before the Kentucky match when they got swept. So terrible time for that to happen because, as we know, Kentucky's a pretty good team. So she met with the coaches, and they told her really not to post anything and about her leaving until after September 7th, which was after the Kentucky match. And so Schumacher, Colley, and the rest of the staff were blindsided when she posted during the first set of the Kentucky match that she was taking the season off. And since then, she's taken all Penn State posts off social media, and she's unfollowed all of her teammates. And she also moved out of the house that she was living in with her teammates during the Kentucky match. So while they're all at rec hall playing, she's moving out of the house. And she'll be entering the transfer portal in December, most likely. And she was also removed from the roster. But it doesn't sound like top 10 programs would want to take her, as one has stated that they would think twice about it. So, and the boyfriend that allegedly is hitting her is a hockey player at Penn State. So, that's kind of the whole gist of what's going on, and Penn State was kind of imploding before she left the team, but ever since then it's been 10 times worse.
Now, I believe I read. First of all, I see. Hey, Justin or Tiger, tell me, is the echo coming from me? Is it coming from both of us? Because if it's doing that, then I can go switch the main mic real quick. So if that's the case, one of you guys wants to comment real quick, and I'll see if I can get rid of the echo. I was on the show, it's like a national pod, Voice of College Football, and I was causing him to echo on that one. I guess if he muted himself and let me talk, it was fine. If one of us talked at a time, it was fine. Oh, it's just Mylie. Okay, we'll get
I'm
Mylie.
even on my iPad, so yeah. I'm not even on my laptop like I used to be.
Yeah, that's weird because normally I could hear your it was like a reverb kind of I would hear, and I'm not hearing it on my end, but they're hearing it. But like I said, one way or another, I think the next time we have her on, and even the next time on, we will have it all fixed. I'm just going to go to a different mic entirely. But now, one of the other things, getting back to Penn State, that I also believed I read is that she went to tell finally. I don't know. I get the feeling it probably wasn't the coach, because I've heard there's issues that there's like anonymous issues with the coach being a pain in the ass to the team as well. And
I haven't heard that.
I was actually hearing that from somebody else at the press lunchroom pregame Saturday. But then one of the things I had read was that she went, I don't know if it was the athletic director, I don't think it was the coach, but she went and told somebody in the department that, yeah, she's having this problem with the boyfriend, and that their first reaction wasn't, oh, what can we do to help? What can we do to get you to feel safe? Let's start an investigation. It was more like, well, don't tell anyone. Like they just wanted it. Their reaction, like in true Penn State Crete fashion, was, well, don't let anyone know. Let's do our best to cover it up. So I mean,
that's what most schools do.
Yeah,
a lot.
But Penn State would seem to be one that more than any other you should be crossing your T's, dotting your I's, and taking care of the player first, and not trying to manage. Because it's okay, like, let's say, not going public with it, but it's not so much that they didn't want it to like go running the press, but that seemed to, but the fact that it seemed to be their initial and biggest concern wasn't your safety, your well-being, but our reputation. And well, your reputation's already garbage. Take care of your player.
Yeah.
So how, despite all that, how big a surprise? I saw that Penn State going into that match was 6-5, I believe, but still, ranked around 20 or something like that.
Yeah,
So
they were 16 going into that match. Now they're 19.
Okay, so even when they were like 5-5 or 6-5 or whatever, they were still playing top-notch competition and doing it fairly competitively while losing that many games. Is that a fair statement then?
Yeah. I mean, they weren't really beating top-notch competition though. They lost to Pitt. They lost to Kentucky. So they're just having issues.
But my only question there was, but in order to stay ranked with that record, my assumption, I didn't go check it game by game, was that they were at least competitive in those losses to say Pitts and Kentucky's. Yeah. And then we go in.
Except for Kentucky.
Okay, but then we go in and treat them worse than we treated Wright State.
Yes.
And now I get a feeling, first of all, you saw the coordination tweet I put out after that first set. I was like, well, this one just feels personal, and I don't think that was an accident that they say, hey, here's a team that had a lot to say when they beat us the last couple times last year, and certain players, chirp, hey, the winners get to chirp, and that there may have been a little, nothing dirty, but just we're gonna put the foot down and we're not gonna let up, and let's see if you got anything to say after this one, other than, hey, we won a national title. It's like, yeah, that feels like a few years off about now, doesn't it? But
yeah.
But would all that be kind of fair to say?
Yeah.
Okay. And now, what else has been going on lately? They're still undefeated, still number one. And they're into conference. They're all in on conference play now, right?
Yep. We're going into the third week of conference play.
What was the most impressive things they did say as non-conference play wound down?
They started playing, I would say, lower level teams by the end of non-conference, like Arizona, California, Wright State.
Okay.
They really played the hardest part of their non-conference at the beginning of their schedule with Pitt, Stanford, Kentucky. So that Kentucky match was pretty hard to watch because they didn't play that well at all.
Was that the one they got down 2-0 and had to come back?
Yeah.
Okay. And then didn't they do that, like, was Creighton, let's say, like their last tough non-conference match?
Yeah, I forgot about Creighton.
Yeah, and then did they get down I can't remember, were they down 2-0 in that one?
No.
Or did that one just, it was a 5-setter, right?
It went back and forth, yeah.
Okay.
I think it was, Nebraska, Creighton, Nebraska.
We dangled the brownie on a string there for him and took it away again at the last minute. Talk about some of the individual play. Just the two names, like, the thing I know most, is like everybody knows who Harper is, and she's killing it. They were making, like, there's a little Cho Boy mock thing going on, but I'm thinking more along the lines of how has Adriano looked since arriving, and how has Becca Alec stepped it up?
Virginia Adriano, she's been kind of on and off. When she's good, she's really good. But when she's not, you can tell. And her numbers just clearly show that she's not having a good match. And DBK usually pulls her when that happens.
Okay.
Rebecca Alec is actually leading the team in hitting percentage right now at .475. So she's almost hitting 50%.
Holy moly.
That's pretty crazy. It's crazy that your middle blocker is your best hitter, basically.
Right. And then, how about any of the freshmen getting any serious time right now?
I wouldn't say serious time. It's just kind of like bottom of the barrel matches, like Rutgers. Obije, she got a start against Rutgers, and she looks really good. She'll probably take Alex's spot next year.
Okay.
With Andy Jackson. But she's really the only.
Is Andy a senior this year?
No, she's a junior.
Good. I don't want to be done with her yet either.
No. But Manaya's really the only freshman that's been getting a good amount of time. Because they're redshirting Kenna Coggle and Carrie Leinbach.
Okay. Yeah, Leinbach's name I hear a lot and don't really. I just don't follow it like you do. That's why I'm asking these questions. And
her sister was a setter at Midland.
Okay. All right. Oh God, what was it? There's one more thing. Well, this wasn't so much what I was going to ask you. It was just a really funny story. I thought you'd get a kick out of. Is I think it was last year in the NCAAs, and Creighton was playing. Creighton played Penn State in the tournament last year, if I recall.
Yep.
And we were just looking at some of those looks on the faces of Creighton players. And one gal that let's just say there's someone who may work at a saloon that I frequent, just happened, and she's the type that pops with these comments a lot. Just took a look at they showed a couple of the Creighton girls with the wide eyes. She goes, "Oh, look at those two. They're gonna get killed. They got homeschool face."
Yeah.
and then she started talking about Andy Jackson. She goes, "Yeah, Andy." She goes, "That Andy Jackson, from Nebraska. She doesn't have homeschool face. She has. I'm gonna put a volleyball tattoo on your forehead, then steal your boyfriend's face."
Yeah, basically.
Ever since then, though, it's just I'm thinking of all these different players as like us having homeschool face, and I think the closest thing for comparison is in the water boy when they're going to do the onside kick and their kicker's going down the line. Okay, let's see who we kicking to, and then and then you see one guy going. And he goes, "Oh yeah, there's my bitch."
Oh my God!
And it's like that, and that's what I think is like. Yep, there's homeschool face. But anyway, so what? Now that we're in the thick of conference, what are we looking for in conference play? Who, unless it's just the obvious Wisconsin, is there anybody else to look out for on the Big Ten in the Big Ten title? I don't know if Penn State's fixed.
No. I don't think they are at this point. They played a 5-setter against Maryland and almost lost. So
oh geez,
I don't see Penn State really being competitive.
How's Wisconsin?
Wisconsin's pretty good. Their offense is kind of like Penn State because Penn State really only runs through Kennedy Martin. Mm-hmm. Wisconsin really runs through Mimi Collier. Mm-hmm. And so back to your email that you sent me today with the awards.
Oh yeah.
You were saying why doesn't Nebraska get picked for these awards and stuff? It's really because our offense is so spread out. Like people like Kennedy Martin, they're getting 34 kills a match because they're setting her so much, and she's really their only viable hitter. And that's the same with Mimi Collier. But Nebraska, I mean, you never really see anyone with over 20 kills a match because our offense is just so spread out. So no one's going to have big numbers.
Gotcha. But yeah, I guess so. It's still, but it's just not. What are the awards they give out? I mean, they give out. Don't they have like hitter, blocker, setter, freshman of the week? And we're like number one in the country, undefeated, and shut out 5 of the 7 weeks out of those awards. And then because I think we got 3 of them one week, and then Bergen got the setter or whatever.
We got 3 of them week 0.
Okay.
And then Bergen now. That's about it.
Yeah, it's because I was sitting there because Deshaun Singleton, which we were going to talk about a little bit, got Defensive Player of the Week. And that was another, I was just starting to tell some of the funny quotes from the press conference. And that was another one where John Butler was talking about that. And he went so he's like, I saw Deshaun, did I read that? Deshaun got Big Ten Defensive Player of the Week.
Oh.
That right? And he goes, and he did it basically for making 2 of the easiest picks I've ever seen in my career.
I saw that.
Yeah, so but Butler a lot of times I think doesn't know he's about to zing one, but zings it, and Holgerson just some days lets him fly left and right. And I think you were just getting in when I was talking about how he said he got attacked, but he was one of the ones that got attacked by Eckler when they blocked the punt. I don't know if you saw that view, but yeah, Eckler was just shoving guys. He was high. They're doing this like high hook 5, and he still looks like he's going to separate elbows. And it's like, heck, man, you can pop 225 15 times in your mid-50s. Don't swing at their arms with everything you have. We've already got injury issues. All right. So who do you think is going to be anybody going to be able to even really challenge us? Is Minnesota any good anymore?
Minnesota was supposed to be good, but they have like 6 of their top girls injured, so probably not.
So it's looking like, I mean, keep your eye on the ball, and Nebraska should be taking home a Big Ten title then.
Yeah, I would say it's probably between us, Wisconsin, and Indiana at this point.
Indiana,
maybe Purdue.
Yeah,
Indiana's looking pretty good.
Okay, well, good.
They're
if you can buy some
ranked
football players, get some
What?
volleyball players. I said if you can buy some football players, get some volleyball players. And nowadays, when you say buy some football players, we mean it on the table. It's not an insult.
Yeah.
It's like you're investing now, and not just leaving that gym bag in their driveway. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Anything else you can tell us about the girls?
No, I don't think so.
All right. Well, this is going to be one of your dream nights. You're welcome to stick around for a little bit if you like.
The Penguins are playing the Rangers, and the Penguins are winning, so I'm going to watch that.
Yeah. Now, you got nothing against Sullivan, though, do you?
No, I love Sullivan.
Yeah,
There was no reason for him to be fired.
Right. I didn't think he left. He left Pittsburgh to go to the Rangers out of any sort of bad feelings for anyone toward him in Pittsburgh. He had one hell of a run there. So,
but they fired the coach of the USA Olympic men's team. Doesn't make sense to me. But okay.
Yeah. Well, whatever. He's not very good. All right.
Yeah.
Mylie, thanks for coming in. I'll probably ask you back a time or two just to update everyone, and we appreciate it very much.
You're welcome.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye. All right, so there you go. There's your volleyball catch up. Let's see, and that was just Mylie. So if I don't need to make any adjustments, I'm not going to do a thing, and we will get back into it. And actually, that was the other funny quote I wanted to go where Butler was like sticking it to Deshaun a little, saying like, "Yeah, you got 2 picks," but he also had 6 tackles in there too. So Deshaun had him a game, and Rule yesterday, and then it was I believe it was Butler today. They were kind of talking about how as long as you keep practicing hard, practicing the right way, you may not see the results on the field right away, but as long as you keep at it, and I think we've been through about 3 different coaches that talk about the process. But, if done right, the process is, usually a pretty successful thing. And I loved Matt Rule's version of the process when he was getting a little choked up the week before the Cincinnati game, talking about how proud he was that John Bullock and Tom Fedone both made NFL rosters, like just against crazy odds. Fedone with his 2, rebuilt knees, and then Bullock after being like 185, 190-pound walk-on who was basically lost at a Rover, when Rule got here at a position that wasn't even natural to him. And now and then they both made rosters. And Matt Rule's little quote was, "The process is undefeated against those who refuse to be defeated." And so, yeah, the process has its thing. But what they were saying, anyway, to get back to the original point, because I never just go off on a tangent, do I? Was that Singleton only got his first interception, I think, last year, and then gets 2 in a game this year, and this is his 5th or 6th year of eligibility. So his last year of football, and he's been around, and now here just keeps doing it right. Here come the turnovers. I just happened to glance down and see that TSD had said Javen Wright had a good game. Javen Wright's had a pair of good games, and I had noticed that he became, I think, the first Husker to have back-to-back 10-plus tackle games. I think he had 12 Saturday and then had 10 against Michigan. And the one that was crazy was the sack he had on Childs Saturday, where he hurdled the guy. And when I say hurdled him, he looked like a damn hurdler where he just comes running in, guy goes down, and he literally hurdles over him like his head never, like a good hurdler. His head doesn't bob up and down at all. He just sat there with his head keeping the same plane, hurdled him with the legs, didn't slow down a half mile an hour, and just kept coming full speed and took Childs out. And former Husker linebacker Michael Rose-Ivy, we were on the same page because I'd already talked about that in Singleton's Player of the Week article yesterday, and then Rose-Ivy had that clip that I just described showing that. So I retweeted that clip with, retweeted Rose-Ivy's tweet with that clip and pointed out that, yeah, he's, he's turning it, he's leveling up, starting to beat the big bosses as the real games start, Michigan State, Big Ten play. And then I saw Rose-Ivy saw me do that and retweeted it back on his. So yeah, I think what I'm saying there is that we're both proud as hell of Javen Wright. I'm one of those defenders of the 7-year players. Some people like to make the jokes. What's this guy doing? He's like a third-year NFL player. It's like, no, if he's in his 7th year, he's most likely not a future NFL player. He's playing his 7th year because he realizes he's probably not getting drafted, wants to play as long as he can, because football's the one game, when you're done, you're done. Even hockey, you can go find full-check adult leagues. Football, there's no adult pads football. There may be in a pocket here or there, but pretty much it's flag football after that. So the last time you strap them on in high school, if you're not going college, or in college if you're not going pro, is the last time you're going to play in pads. So these are guys that are playing for the love of the game. And I did an article, if you go back, just Google my name, Corn Nation, Javen Wright. I did an article on his journey to that 7th year with the injuries and whatnot, and it's a pretty amazing story. I mean, not just like serious injuries, but 2 different bouts of blood clots, and everybody remembers the 90s, remembers Tommy Frazier and the blood clots, and how I think they derailed his NFL career because he played in a Senior Bowl, hit J.J. Stokes with a couple of bombs, has the announcers going, my God, I was saying maybe this guy is a free agent or a 7th-round flyer for a scrambling back. I'm just like, now I'm thinking he's anywhere from a 2nd to 4th-round draft pick in a series. It's like, we didn't know he could throw like this. But I think what they did do was find out that without blaming Nebraska, he probably shouldn't have played another down for us, because the reports they got back were pretty much he's got to be on blood thinners. And if you're on blood thinners, you shouldn't be playing. And if you should be on blood thinners and are playing, you're kind of putting your life at risk. And, yeah, so Javen Wright had to get all that cleaned up for his clot. Your clot issues basically have to go away. So there's not really going to be a time was we'll just take you off the thinners, keep it quiet, and hope for the best. I think those days are in the rear view, because there was a player a few years after Frazier, and he was like a 4-star kid from, I want to say, South Dakota, and comes to Nebraska, gets the physical, and they're like, you need to go on thinners, you can't play. And so it was far enough out to where it had been a few years since Frazier, but they weren't going to do that anymore. So he actually left Nebraska, left him kind of pissed about why they wouldn't let him play, went to Iowa, and then I don't think he ever played. I think, he probably tried another place or two, and they're like, you can't, you've got to be on blood thinners, and then we'll see, but you can't play with this condition. So anyway, good for Javen Wright. One other thing I'll throw in on Javen is being a 7-year guy. This is a guy who started when we were still in the bag. As far as players getting paid, it was bagman time. And then you could not, there was no transfer portal. If you wanted to transfer, you were going to be suspended for a year. Or as they like to put it, you would forfeit a year of eligibility. That's suspending you for a year for changing schools. But anyway, he talked about, he's getting NIL money now. And somebody asked about, what that was like, coming from a time where if you weren't getting the bag money, then, you were just, your family was giving it to you, or you were just scrimping by on no cash, which you can do with a food plan, but it's not a fun way to live. And it probably seems a little more ridiculous when you see an athletic department bringing in millions of dollars on your back, and there's not much there for you. So yeah, anyway, but he was talking about his attitude towards and I always gratitude. Said not, he's not getting rich off it or anything like that. He goes, I just remember like buying a used scooter for a couple $100, and I'd be driving home, with like McDonald's cheeseburgers or whatever you could get for $2. And so, so now I can actually, we've got a nice meal plan. I can just worry about football, worry about classes, and not try to work a job the school doesn't know about or something to get money. So he's just really grateful for it. So keep that in mind. Javen Wright, good guy. I'm thrilled to see him turn it on. Husker legacy. I believe it's Toby Wright's son. Played for those 90s national title teams. Good for you, Javen Wright. Oh, guys are getting a little torqued here at Craig. What did we have? Because Craig said we were going to lose all our games. You said that earlier. Please provide why you believe so, or are you just going to cower it away? I was just taking that as a troll shot and run myself. I didn't figure he was like going to stick around. Who knows? It's like maybe if he would stick around and we could just turn this into an hour of flame throwing. Oh, Fred, what has Fred got to say? I'm rolling the dice. Let's see. Yeah, Craig exhibiting Iowa fan trash talk. At least it's not his idea of foreplay like the rest of them. Hey, sis, you awake? Oh, and Iowa incest is never not funny. All right, let's see. What do we got here next? I always come in with a framework here until the comments take over. Oh, that's so delicious tonight. I'm thirsty. Okay, where are we at here? Oh, you want to hear a funky drive chart? Here's our drive chart this week. First half, 9 plays, 48 yards, touchdown. That was, I think, our only maybe full possession in the first quarter. Or maybe we had a punt, but I thought they took it for a while next. But anyway, TD and then punt, 3 plays, minus 32 yards, another punt. And both those punts, poor Archie tried to put it up in the air, and I think those punts ended up being like 18 and 14 yards. Third punt, he kicked the low like right curler there, and then that one took a roll, and he got in there. And then turnover on downs, punt, and then that was the first half. So then second half, turnover on downs, and that's when we tried the fake punt with Heinrich. Short interception. 5 plays, 75 yards, and a TD. Ba-boom. Because that was the end of the third quarter. That we didn't hold on to the ball too much in that third quarter. And that's the one where I was telling you there's 2:32 left, and I'm just like, run that clock out and let's get the wind at our back and have fun. And then Matt Rule yesterday was saying the same thing. He goes, I just wanted us to, somehow get through the end of the quarter and still have the ball. And then let's go. And said, but he goes, Dylan and Jacory and Emmett had other ideas. They wanted to score right now. And that was the pass that went for 45 yards, the deep pass that went for 45 yards into the wind to Jacory, which Coach Holgerson said, well, the wind didn't hurt that throw at all. And so then we go 15-75 and a TD, get it back. Jacory brings one back, and we only go 19 yards with it, but that's far enough to get Canaan a chip shot to give us the 24-21 lead. Then we did go 6 plays, 25 yards, and punt. And then the next drive, 1 play, 59 yards, TD, that little slip inside route. The offensive line does an amazing job, and Messiah squirts through the grasp of a couple guys, cuts it back to the sideline, and he's off and running. And I realized that it was about as fast as I'd ever seen him go, because he's only got one shoe on, and you probably don't want to get cleated. How'd you like to get that hip drag with no shoe on and then get tangled in a cleat there or something? And then we get it back then go 2 plays, 17 yards, Emmett for another touchdown, game over. They get their, useless TD that still pissed everyone off on our bench, and then the game is over. And so, remember how it looked terrible for Dylan. I'd say about midway through that third quarter there, he is just like, he finished, if you count that drive, I was going to say, he was 8 of 10, I believe, for 99 yards in the fourth quarter. But if you throw in that pass to Jacory at the end of the third, that made him 9 of 11 for, I believe, 149 yards or something like that. So if he finished 16 of 24 for 194, that means prior to that, he was 7 of, let's see, what would that be? So 9 of 11. So before that, he was 7 of 13 for about 50 something yards with a pick. So he turned it around, finished 16 of 24, 194 TD and a pick, still 67. An off day for him is a 67% completion rate. I followed somebody in the comments a little in John's why do you hate Dylan article, because I said D was grading a little harshly, but Atomic Lawn Chair, who answers frequently, actually made a good reason case for why it probably was a D if we go by the standard we set for him. And I was like, yeah, I probably would have given him C- or a C, but then I'm giving him bonus points for coming back with an unbelievable finish after such a rotten start, because he had a rotten game at Rutgers last year. And I'd be like, oh, he's just going to do this every time it's hot and windy. And no, he got his shit together. And you find out later on the sideline and I caught a little of it listening to the press conference, post-game press conference, as I'm typing away trying to get the game recap, the game article done. And Coach Rule reiterated how he was trying to calm him down midway through the game. I'm guessing that's probably after the interception in the third quarter, if there's a time where Dylan's going to be in a foul mood. And he said that Dylan told him, I got blood in my eyes, Coach. We are not going to lose this game. And Rule just, all right, just focus and get it done. And he goes, I let him go like that because he goes, he's got that fire, and his teammates rally to him when he starts showing that fire and getting them together. And think about it. There's 6 captains, 5 seniors, and Dylan the sophomore, and Dylan's kind of the face of the program. It's now that we're in regular season press conference mode, Dylan's basically at every Tuesday press conference now with 3 or 4 other teammates, but it's always so-and-so, 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 Dylan. So I didn't wait for him today. I don't know if he finally came out. There was a lot of 12:30 classes going on, and they were trying to catch guys before they went in there, catch guys coming out of classes, and you think it's just about practice, but no, it's the press. We're annoying as hell. So anyway, yeah, Dylan made one hell of a finish. Emmett, also, this kind of speaks to the offensive line, and I'm going to go into them here pretty quick. So if you want to make your offensive line comments, let fly, but I'm going to tell you they had a better game than you thought, than some of you thought, I should say. Emmett finished 13 carries, 83 yards, 6.4 per carry, 3 touchdowns. Monster game. Also 6 catches for 37 yards, so 120 total yards. Neziah Hunter on the strength of that little inside dipper screen or bubble screen, 4 catches, 93 yards, 23.3 yards per catch and a TD. And then Barney had 2 for, it wasn't a huge day for Barney, but got the play that opened up the game. And Holgerson said when they got the touchdown, like, you got the Barney play, Emmett goes for 9, Emmett goes for 22 or whatever it was, or 7, goes for 7 and goes for 22, touchdown. And Holgerson told us the game was over. Right then, I knew we even though it was tied, I knew we had it won. And that was kind of how I felt. I was just like, we just went down and did that into the wind. We do that into the wind, and we're about to get the ball back with the wind, which is just about all but 2 touchdowns were scored with the wind. That had to be just a kick in the nuts, because Minnesota's thinking they're about to get the ball back with time to work with the wind again after scoring 2 touchdowns in a row. Because it's 2:32, we throw 2 incompletes, and all of a sudden there's a deep one to Barney. It hits him like 20 or 25 yards downfield, and Barney runs it for another 20, and boom, just two plays we run over you. We're in there. That's what I was thinking, is they're done through. Yeah, over. So I did agree there. Now, somebody mentioned, hey, Dane Key had kind of a quiet day. I look like Archer when I do that. Whenever they start talking to him and he's starting to chug a drink, and no, Holgerson said Dane Key goes. He goes, that was a good game. He goes, he's going to get him. The balls are going to come to him. They will. They said he was wide open twice, where Dylan was unable to get him the ball because he was scrambling or didn't see him. And also in Dylan's favor, let's kind of go into the line with this here. Holgerson said that Dane Key blocked his ass off in that game. Said, yeah, you may not have seen it in the receiving stats, but he had a huge game blocking and did a good job of getting open. It just, the ball didn't come to him. It will. He and Dylan work well together, so no worries there. But speaking of blocking, the line blocked a lot better than you thought they did. And by the way, if you saw the new depth chart, I was going to tweet it out today, but Dragon, I still got some out there. The new depth chart came out, and the week before, where both Pritchett and Gotula looked lousy. Talk about turning it around in a week. By the end of the game, Gotula's playing at all the snaps at left tackle, and Pritchett's playing all the snaps at right tackle, and Teddy and Turner are taking a back seat to the younger guys right now. And he even referred to them as the he also referred to them as the future of that position, Gotula and Pritchett. So and they had the highest 2 PFF grades. Hold on real quick. Got a Paidwood here. Oops, and I apologize, Jacob. I was getting to questions at the end of this one, but when is the older gentleman who appears in the bathroom after losses going to be featured in the live streams? I enjoy his spicy commentaries. That is John Johnston. That is our chief editor, our fearless leader, and he is the one who well, let's just say, because I'm going up there next week or 2 weeks to the Minnesota game. That's John Johnston. He did do Monday Night Therapy, and he may pop in there occasionally. Heck, I'll see if he's not busy. Get him on here next Tuesday. Yeah, John's a riot. We have a similar kind of crazy, I guess you would say. Although he's ponytailed up and I'm not, so he looks more like the Mad Professor than I do. But yes, that is Jon Johnston. Yeah, always keep your eye out. Check our website, Jacob, and check the article, because he's got a nose for what'll set people off. And this week he had one that I think was already into 30 or 40 comments. Why do you hate Dylan Raiola? And I even answered along on there saying, I think it's not so much a bunch of people hate Dylan. I think it's more like there's a few people who hate Dylan, but kind of scream about it over and over. We know how that goes. And I even did a link to because I thought it was a perfect example. My feelings on the subject are similar to when Charles Barkley was getting angry at people giving Markelle Fultz a hard time after he got drafted first, but then got a mental block on his shot. I think it was what it was. He played at Washington, and Barkley famously had this to say about people giving Markelle Fultz a hard time online. I felt the same way about the ones who just won't shut up about Dylan and his hair. Is that now y'all sit there in your grandma basement, sitting in your drawers with cookie crumbs on your stomach, typing away. Just shut the hell up. So that's where I feel, because you go to the games, and my thing was, go to the games if you think there's this widespread hatred of Dylan by his own fans. Just go there right before they do tunnel walk. They'll do up on the big board. They'll introduce the players one by one. Cheers for everybody, all the starters. They save Dylan for last, and Dylan still gets the biggest roar. I think the only thing I've seen to challenge it was when they announced Archie Wilson the week after he got emotional talking about his family, and kind of won not just Nebraska but America's hearts at the time. and then we found the real Archie comeback when was it Matt Rule talked about, since he wasn't going to punt against Houston Christian, putting him in the victory formation, and told him he'd be going in there, and Archie said, "Well, just stand there." So yeah, we got Archie for hopefully the full 4 years, and we'll enjoy him. And no one hates Dylan. And Jacob, thanks a lot for your question. Sorry I didn't catch it the first time, but yeah, John Johnson, we'll do what we can to get him on for you. and you are more than welcome, sir. So, actually, I do all this. I did all this pumping of the comments in the intro this week, or the intro for when I post it as it's coming on tonight on YouTube, and then Bupkis tonight. Your guys are slowing down a little. Come on, y'all. Especially as far as the offensive line, because that's where I was going with that. Is we got the 5 sacks, and I'm going, man, that's 12 sacks in 2 games. That can't happen. Well, first of all, Dylan, I think, took 2 of them on his shoulders. Like, went right to the coaches. That's on me. A couple of times he gets sacked. Held on to it for too long. They want him to run more, and he's a guy. If you ever watched him in his high school tape or the Polynesian Bowls, where it stuck out to me, he will stay in. He rides or dies with his offensive line in his pocket. He will stay in that pocket forever and go through however many progressions it takes. And I'd made the comment a couple of times, he's almost too calm in there. He doesn't have the happy feet. I want some happy feet. If you see 10 yards of green in front of you, just go take it instead of trying to look through 2 more progressions. Take what they give you, and then what's going to happen is they're not going to be giving you that much room. Guys are going to come up softer in the coverage. It all works out. So there you go. So there's 2 of the sacks, and then you had a running back. I won't call him out, but had a running back miss a block, so that's not really on the line there. And then you had the bad snap where he ran back to pick it up and got tackled. So really there was just 1 sack, I think, that fell on the line in that game. And if we're averaging, and remember when you see in the team totals that college football is silly, they include sacks in the rushing total, and then even below there go, but here's your rushing totals adjusted for, with the sacks taken out. So, you're averaging over 6. They had over 6 yards a carry, only really gave up 1 sack. And yeah, that second quarter was pretty funny because I think was it Rule? It might have been Rule. Let me check real quick. Said he'd never. Wait, that's Holgerson. Hold on. Let me flip back over here to my Rule notes on Monday. Yeah, he referred to it as a horrific second quarter, unlike anything he'd ever been a part of. And then so today we asked, somebody asked Holgerson, did you ever have a second quarter like that? And what was it he said? He went into defending Dylan. He goes, we put a lot on our starting quarterbacks here. And so he goes, so we don't. He says, so he said he's getting hit a bunch. He's getting knocked around. There's a bad snap. There's missed assignments. So he was saying they did miss some stuff when the one got in their face in the second quarter. And he said he said there he goes. There was a period there where he was a little loopy. He probably didn't know it, but he was getting a little loopy, which I thought was pretty funny. Yeah. There you go, Fred Sacco. Horrific quarter, like nothing he'd ever been a part of. Yeah. Well, I think that was Rule that had that one on. I think that's what I had scribbled next to his name on Monday. But yeah, both of them were saying, yeah. Or you know what? Holgerson said, yeah, I have. We were a part of it once because we were talking. It was the 25 play period of the second and third where they only got 19 yards. And he goes, and guess what? The last time I can remember a series of possessions that bad, he said 2013 at Maryland. And everybody's like, oh shit, that's not good. But anyway, I thought that was pretty funny. Those guys all had some pretty good cracks. So yeah, so let's see. Emmett, yeah, we went through their numbers. So let's talk about Maryland. Let me try and wet my nonstop dry mouth. Oh my goodness, that's good. Oh, and there's more in here. Oh, I'm gonna fill this thing while I tell you here. So we're facing another true freshman wonder kid, quarterback. And it's funny because I don't think Maryland maybe they must not have played Michigan yet, or just be unaware on what's going outside their little bubble, because they're like, oh, you're about to face a true freshman quarterback like nothing you've seen, bruh. And it's like, no, we did. We just saw the number one recruit in the country 2 weeks ago. So yeah, we've seen it, and we shut him down. And so what we're talking about here is Malik Washington, and he is a 6'5". He's their quarterback. He is 6'5", 230. Apparently can move pretty well. You're not going to be seeing, I think, Bryce Underwood or Brendan Sorsby speed or anything like that, but it sounds like he's not a statue. He's going to get hit. He's doing all right so far. He's 110 and 183, 1,257 yards passing. That's 60.1% completion percentage. 9 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and runs a little. He's only been sacked once. Okay, the challenge accepted, right, boys? And he's carried 10 times for 32 yards. So not really part of the rushing attack. He's not one of those quarterbacks like Sorsby or Underwood, or even Childs, who's like their team's second or third leading rusher. He's down there. They are a more pass heavy team. They're going to pass it closer to 60% of the time, but they've got two running backs who lead a really ineffective running game. No one averages over 3.5 yards a carry. So really, it sounds like all their running game is doing is just keeping people out of like running a constant dime defense, which I'd suspect we're going to do and dare them to run. They've got four receivers that share the load pretty well. Their deeper receivers are a couple wide receivers named Octavian Smith and Shalik Knotts, who Smith has 19 catches for 324 yards, and Knotts has 18 for 305. And then Jaleel Farouk looks like, just from numbers, your possession receiver, 25 catches, 233 yards, and then their tight end Dorian Fleming, 21 catches for 171. So their top 4 receivers, you can't really, you got to be ready for anybody, because they all have between 18 and 25 receptions apiece. And no, God, Fred, it's not Jackson and Coke. It is Sailor and Diet. I am watching my girlish figure, and it is the leader of the 7 C's that is helping you do it. Sailor Jerry, I believe the story behind him was he was in the Navy in World War II, stayed in the Far East, and became one of the first Western folks to actually study tattoo artistry in the Far East, and then bring it back to the U.S. And the little hula girl on the bottle is one of his original tattoos. So, God love you, Sailor. He's got a last name. I used to know it, but you drink enough of Sailor, you start forgetting the family details. I apologize to no one. All right, so let's see. What do we got? Yeah, Fred, here you go. Fred says their freshman QB has a quick release, seems fast too. If he scrambles, I'm sure we'll just tackle the shit out of him. You know what? I'm getting better at recognizing invisible sarcasm font. No shit. If I don't watch my figure, who will? Hey, I'm just thrilled if people ever see me with a woman that has all her teeth. I call those nights a win. Here we go. Blaine Cole, welcome. As a former sailor, Blaine says, I would recommend Black Seal rum, official rum issued by the Royal Navy. Well, fine. I'll give the Brits a chance. I will keep an eye peeled. I will hit up some of my what to call them, my fellow alcohol savants at Le Tigre de Tomas. If y'all know. But Black Seal, I'll keep an eye out for it. Sounds good. I better chug some water after this. I'm just really thirsty, because I shouldn't want to chug the Coca-Cola slightly flavored for taste that badly. So, found a few funky numbers. Let's see. That just for this season, we already know that we've got, I think, one of the best sets to date, one of the best secondaries in the country, if not the best. the touchdown they threw, the Childs hit, I don't know what his name was, but he was just standing still. Fort, that was the first passing touchdown the Huskers have given up this season. I think they passed as a team for like 150, which would be the highest total on the season. But their starter became yet another victim of the Huskers secondary, and the Nebraska wins, yay! Because I believe he finished in like 9 of 23 for like 89 yards, couple picks, courtesy of Deshaun Singleton. Emmett Johnson right now is 8th nationally in touchdowns with 8. So yeah, eight touchdowns for 8th. And then Ja'Cory Barney right now is, my God, I tell people I did not to see it happen this quickly. The special teams turnaround. I mean, what did we have? We had a block, just the last game, we had a block punt. Ja'Cory has 4 returns for 100, averages 30 yards a return. Would have been higher, but Carter Nelson, darn it, had the block in the back. Good call. Here's the thing, too. And there's probably going to be a whole article on this tomorrow afternoon. So here's your preview. Is I'm just going to be, for my 24-hour rule column, I'm just going to be talking about, this isn't the team that shoots itself in the foot. This is the team that finds a way to win. I actually had a guy get really kind of like pissy fury because I put a little Brendan Sorsby tweet up there about, hey, this guy now is starting to get in top 10 bookie odds for the Heisman Trophy after he leads Cincinnati to a win over Iowa State. Some people are like, why are they 1 spot out of being ranked and we're 4 spots out of being ranked and we won the head-to-head matchup? Well, here's the thing. They've beaten a ranked team. They beat a ranked team pretty convincingly in Iowa State, who was 14th. And when you're doing those rankings, it's not like, I always said to people, because I saw some tweet where somebody was arguing about who Sam McCowan had voted for, or who somebody else had voted for, and how can you not do this or that, and what about this head-to-head this or that. And I'm like, look, I know some of them take it pretty seriously, but I would be shocked if it's more than a small group, coaches or writers, who spend more than half an hour working on the top 25. I'm thinking a lot of them, it's going as far. And if any of you are listening, feel free to tweet, comment, whatever, to tell me, no, we all spend hours on this. I won't believe it, but you can have the voice. No, I'd say most of just put up the previous week's rankings. Here's this week's score of each game for each of those teams. Here's some more scores from the ones maybe, the 5 or 10 outside the top 25, and then you're just adjusting based on that. And there's no way in hell everybody's going to look at how each team is head-to-head potentially next to each other in the standings. So give the voters a little bit of a break until you get to a system where you just have maybe 10 or 20 voters who are the equivalent, of that CFP committee, who just make it their job to spend a few hours that week putting together their good, honest top 25. I don't know, just an idea. But when it's just hundreds of people who have other jobs, cut them some slack. They're not going to be breaking their neck over it, and they're not going to be breaking it down for every head-to-head adjustment they can make. And anyway, though, yeah, this guy got mad. Oh, and you're still talking about a game 5 games ago. Blah blah blah. You're going to lose the rest of yours, and you suck, and all this. And I just was kind of cracking up because he was so bad. And I was like, geez, man. It's like, I have a feeling you're one of those that right after that game, you were tweeting out, oh boy, you just barely escaped a bottom feeder in the Big 12, going nowhere this year, Nebraska, suck it. And so I just said, well, the reason we're bringing it up is because each week it looks better and better, and Sorsby keeps playing better and better, and therefore holding him to 67 yards passing looks better and better. And in a world where, with these votes, where the perception matters as much as everything, I'm going to try and keep putting it out there. Hey, this is a good-looking win. It's now a very good-looking win. I told people after that game, and look, I'm a guy who's wrong a ton, and I admit it. Like last week, I didn't catch where Matt Rule had kind of just like blown up what the depth chart was going to say and said Pritchett's getting his shot. And I missed that because I'm on vacation and I'm just kind of catching up summaries and stuff like that. And I saw a depth chart and I'm like, well, he's number 3 on that depth chart. I don't think he's going to play. Guess what? He played. He started. And I wasn't saying I was like, I even said, I hope he plays well. Husker Mike dude who tweets at us a lot and good guy, but he's like, hey man, you're nuts. You didn't hear what Rule said. And I'm like, shit, I didn't. And he was right. Pritchett started. Now it's like Pritchett and Gottschall are both going to start. But, that's kind of why I do this with Cincinnati is I want this being known. Hey, I told people after that game, this team is scrappy. They are fast. They're mean. They talk a lot of shit. And their quarterback, I think we did a great job against because everybody's so pissed about the 92 yards rushing. I'm like, 159 yards total. If you said before the game, right now, 159 yards out of Sorsby total. Rushing, throwing, who cares? I saw last year he threw for 2,800 yards and was their second leading rusher. I'll take 159 yards a game in a heartbeat. And I think he's thrown for 100 over that every game, over that total yardage every game since then. Yeah, hell of a player. It's a good win. And so when we're tooting it, we're pumping Cincinnati sales too. We were trying to tell people after that game, this team's for real. Now the country's falling in line. And what was funny was Butler today at the very end, he goes, nobody's going to give me a Sorsby update. I got my Sorsby update last week. So apparently last week when I was gone, somebody was like, hey, by the way, did you know Brendan Sorsby's done this, this, and this? And he was like, John Butler's like, I told you that guy was good. So, yeah. It's just kind of fun. I like having fun with folks on Twitter when I can. I'm not going to get too nasty. I don't want to run you off, but if you get yourself run off, that's on you. But I can't remember the guy's name. But yeah, we're gonna have Sorsby updates every time he throws for another 400 yards. Hadn't done that yet, but it's coming. So yeah. Look at all the elements of special teams. Holy shit. Oh, my God. Oh, real quick, we got a Cincinnati comment here. We beat Cincy, but they have it over us as far as actually having an identity and making the best of the talent they have. Yeah, and like I said, they beat a number 14 team. Let's see. What does he tell me? Yeah, be sure to ramp it up if you put it out there. And a lot of stuff going around per Elijah Pritchett. Yeah, no, right now, basically it's on the depth chart, and Holgerson said today, yeah, we're going to be rolling next week with their, Gottschall's got his left tackle spot, and Pritchett's going to take the right tackle spot, and here we go. They graded out the 2 highest of the offensive linemen today. I will say this though, when it comes to PFF, I throw it out there because it's just kind of a nice number to throw out there to every position, but every so often, like just weird. You just wonder how it works, because what they're claiming to do, I think, is go grade like every player, every play, and something tells me that's some intern kid on coffee and coffee and uppers, staying up all night for a couple nights to throw something out there. So I wouldn't say put it down as a concrete measure. But if it's happening week after week, it's nice. Like, let's say Dylan's this week was like 46.1. I felt like maybe that's a little harsh. 50s would have been all right, because throwing 60% for 190 yards and 1-1 on the touchdown pick, it's not great, but I don't feel like Atomic Lawn Chair disagreed with me. But I don't feel that puts it down in the D level, even though you can make a case for it. And the way Lawn Chair was doing it was, I'm making a case with the standard that Rule and Raiola set for themselves. So they set that standard a little higher. So by their own standard, he was saying it's probably a D in their eyes, and I wouldn't argue with that. Fred with the PF Chang's joke. But yeah. So anyway, that's kind of where we are tonight. Let me see if I had any other. Oh, I had a few things. Okay. Just a moment, if you please. So, tonight's title of the program, I almost forgot, was, hey, time to be Road Warriors, because we have not been Road Warriors, folks, at all. Maryland were all right. All time against Maryland, we're 5-8. This isn't the road yet, but this is Maryland. We're 2-1 against them. since joining the Big Ten, which is I think the only time we'd ever played them. Minnesota, it doesn't sound that bad. We're 5-8 since joining, and we've played them every year. We're 5-8 against Minnesota, but we've lost 5 in a row. So we're probably going to be favored in that game, and it's weird. It just seems like we always chalk Minnesota up as a win, and they beat us, and they beat us again. And because it all started with, for me, the COVID year, where they show up with like 44 guys and beat us. Where everybody's like, what in the blue hell is going on right here? Yeah, there you go, Freddie. Thank you. The Hawk and Animal, baby, the Road Warriors. I loved Hawk and Animal. And then Animal's kid, it was a middle linebacker, All-American middle linebacker for Ohio State. It was a son's name, James Laurinaitis. And then, but yeah, Hawk's name was Animal's name was Laurinaitis. And one time they played a joke on the kid. So when he's playing at Ohio State, he, they set it up so him and a bunch of his Ohio State buddies got ringside seats. Whatever arena in Minneapolis they're going to have a show in. And so he's up in the ring. He gets them in there beforehand while the place is empty and they're just getting set up and everything. And hops up in the ring, talking shit. And a few of the boys came running out of the locker room in full costume. And Laurinaitis had set it up with them. And so the boys are sitting there while he's standing in the ring telling them some stories. And then hear a bunch of shit talking. And here come whoever, I've forgotten who, but whoever, storming the ring, beating the shit out of him, just doing a big fix where, they are clotheslining him, they're giving him the flying drop kicks. And, as a kid growing up, he'd gone through more than his share of that stuff. And so but then like a couple others came out and then like helped him. So they put on like a 2 or 3 minute bit of him getting the crap kicked out of him, and then some other boys coming in for the save, and then running the others out of the ring and ripping their shirts off and talking shit and making it look pretty real for a minute or two until everybody got into it. But I always thought that was one of the cooler stories where Hawk and Animal, with his kids setting up his teammates a little bit. Yeah, I think that was James Laurinaitis. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he was an All-American. I think he played for the Patriots for a few years, maybe. But yeah, hell of a player. So anyway, though, we've lost 5 in a row to Minnesota, who are playing on the road after Maryland, and I'm going. I got my credential approval email today, so I'll be heading up there. But since we have joined the Big Ten, we are 40 and 43 total on the road, and then 26 and 34 overall in the Big Ten. So losing record on the road. And then since from 20 to 24, we are 8 and 29 on the road overall. And in the Big Ten, we are conference road games. We are 6 and 17 since 2020. So yeah, it's time to turn that around. Well, we're turning things around here. Time to start winning some road games. One thing if you look over in the feed on the website, it's kind of it's up near the top, like kind of down below or off to the side of the main article, and that's where you guys can go in, put a tweet you saw, a thought, a graph, whatever you think might be interesting to everybody. Jump in there and do it. Well, I threw in there. I always thought it was kind of shitty that, hey, beating a ranked team, man. For me, it only means something is the team you beat if they're ranked at the end of the year. So you see what I'm saying? Like, hey, we lost to a ranked team that was 0-0, the first game of the year, and they were number 16. I was like, no, it's like at the end of the year, then you figure out whether or not you lost to ranked teams. So I thought about, let's go check. Let's see if maybe we beat somebody who was unranked but finished the season ranked. Because as far as I'm concerned, then we beat a ranked team. If that's, because their ranking at the end of the year is what matters. Because there you got your full record, all that stuff. So I did that really quick today, thinking maybe it'll make a nice article. Well, no, it won't. It doesn't turn out that anybody we've beaten since 2016 is actually ranked. And I've said this before, counting Oregon as our last victory against a ranked team, fine. They were ranked when we play them. But that Oregon team where, the Mike Riley team has gotten Nebraska off the schneid and I don't know if they were maybe even top 10 then or something, but they finished the season freaking 4-8, and they were 2-7 in the conference and finished next to last in the Pac-12. That doesn't count as beating a ranked team. I don't care. So you actually have to go back the year before where Brandon Riley ran out of bounds, ran back in. They said he was shoved. I thought that was a horrible call, but boy, was I for it, because then we beat Michigan, and so we beat a ranked team there. And Michigan, I think, was a top 10 team. And I also think that's the last time a shitty ref call actually helped us instead of gut punching us. So, but famous game all the way around. But yeah, so it turns out the last ranked team we beat wasn't in 2016; it was in 2015. So, if you don't like it, I don't care. That's just ridiculous to try and point at a win over a 4-8 team as one of your bellwether, great wins of all time. Anyway, good news. Huskers D right now, their stop rate, like percentage of, I think it's their percentage of drives that end in a punt, a turnover, or a turnover on downs. Right now, Nebraska's number 22 in the country in stop rate. Statistically, their defense is looking about as good as the Tony White defense is. And Tony White got a little shade thrown at him because he talked a little shit before they played Miami and said, well, we feel like we know exactly what they're going to be doing. And then Miami rolled them and scored a bunch of points. So if that's how you play when you know what they're doing, don't pick on Tony White. If you got to pick on anybody, pick on James Williams, who's still ringing up 0 tackles per week and talking shit. So have fun with the sack man, but not with Tony White. He did fine by us. Coaches that come and go, hey man, if you leave the place better than you found it, we wish you well. And I just feel like it's a good time, not just with players, but coaches too. Don't shut the door on each other. Guy takes a job that he wants to take, thinks it's a better opportunity. Wish him well. Hey, if we help springboard you to where you want to be, great. And who knows, might roll back around. Might be that we need you and you need us down the road. And for any of you that think this is a bad idea, let's talk some more special teams with Mike Eckler, huh? What was that? 17 years later, comes back and he's even more of a madman than he used to be. Yeah, it was. Who was it? It was, I believe it was Rule and Trev Alberts, and I think like Amy Williams and Rhonda and Fred were in on it, but kind of had the idea when it comes to transfer portal stuff, just say once a Husker, always a Husker, and the kind of thing where you can always come back. You can always come home. You can always tell everybody you're a Husker. No reason just to start firing that up. If there's a reason they want to leave, most of the time it's not so much that they hate where they are. They just maybe see an opportunity. I mean, one of my favorites is Adrian Martinez. Well, my girlfriend's been driving up from not Stillwater, Manhattan or whatever. His girlfriend's at K-State. I got a year left. I'm gonna go play football where she plays soccer. Because what happened then? He came right back and started working in Nebraska's athletic department until he figured out he wasn't done with football anymore. So yeah, I am so in favor of once a Husker, always a Husker. That being said, James Williams, you make it hard. James Midcat Williams, what a poser. Yeah, it's kind of, you're bringing that on yourself, brother. Especially, it was just the karma thing where, went out, made a crack after we could have used me after we lost to Michigan, and then they turn around and get beat by Virginia. Here we go. That Oregon game where we won, they shot all their toes off, went for 2 after the first TD, didn't get it, chased it the rest of the game, and that was 34-32. Yippee! Yeah, don't wave the flag about how you beat the 4-8 team, boys. Couple other thoughts on the game. Let's see. Maryland off to the ripping 4-0 start. Now it's 4-1. Guys, we when it comes to making the joke, I've seen this movie before. Maryland hot starts are just a movie that plays almost year in and year out. Last year, I think they were mostly just bad, which I don't like to see. The other guy I wanted to talk about is their coach, Mike Locksley. I am a Mike Locksley fan. I've gotten to see him a few times at Big Ten Media Days. He just strikes me as a stand-up guy, good coach. I think he got his chops as, I believe, Nick Saban's defensive coordinator at Alabama. But here he's a guy from Maryland, played high school at Maryland, played college. It wasn't at Maryland, but it was in the Baltimore area, I think. Then goes coaching, and then gets Maryland's the dream job. Coming back home, going to try and save Maryland, and it's one of those things where I hope they've got a long leash, because they've got to get. I don't think they're going to get a much better guy than him to come to Maryland with his football knowledge, his passion, and his just knowledge in general. He just strikes me as an incredibly thoughtful, intelligent guy with a passion for the game. And if Maryland hangs on to him over time, even if it, I hate to make this comparison, but even if you become, say, a Kirk Ferentz, churning out those 7 to 9 wins a year, that's still going to be the best run that Maryland's probably had in their history. True story. First college football game I ever saw, my Uncle Butch took me to the Peach Bowl, and I think it was the 1973 Peach Bowl, 72, 73, 74, somewhere in there. I'm 8, 9, 10 years old, and Georgia, of course, was playing, and I believe they beat Maryland 14-7, and that was a Maryland team that had Randy White of, Cowboys co-MVPs, Randy White and Ed Too Tall Jones fame. And at that time, Georgia had a running quarterback named Andy Johnson, I think, who was their quarterback, ran for 800 to 900 yards that year. Their stud I-back was Jimmy the Greek Poulos, and they had one of a few Gene Washingtons that running around at the time playing wide receiver, and fun times. So got a little history with Maryland. But yeah, Mike Locksley, good guy. He wants to make it work. And Maryland would do well as they might have done, because last year was not a good year, but they would do well to suffer through some bumpy years to let Locksley get a culture in there that I believe could make them a winning team over time. I don't know that Maryland, as in the University of, is ever going to invest into their football enough to give them a chance to compete against everybody, but Mike Locksley is a hell of a first step if they are going to invest. So there you go. My love letter to Mike Locksley. Yeah, listen to him interviewed sometime. I think you'd like him too. And then, we talked about our offensive line being a little better than you think. Hey, you got a running back who's top 10 nationally in a few categories. Has been top 10 nationally in a few categories there in Emmett Johnson. Averaged over 6 yards a carry against Maryland. And for the most part, when like I said, when Dylan did get popped, it wasn't necessarily the offensive line's fault. Their PFF grades were all higher than against Michigan as a group. Henry Lutovsky came out today, and I think people took it from him, and it bothered them a lot more than it bothered Henry. And if you're smart, you're going to send Henry the DM and not try to go get in his face and tell him his offensive line sucks. Although he's a pretty laid-back dude. I think if you're not in pads, I think you might have to work yourself up pretty hard to get Henry to, get to leave the reservation and give you the beating you deserve. But anyway, he had said something about how people left on his DMs, offensive line, you suck and stuff like that. And, hey, the fun thing about that is it got a pretty good response from fans. It's like, are you really DMing players to tell them they stink? It's like, hey, it did just all kinds of jokes about how all the people with a lot to say probably haven't really ever strapped it on. Let's see what we got going in I just wanted to say that, defend Hank and our offensive line. They're not as bad as you think, and our defense turned it around. So for last week, I didn't do a poll this week or send any poll questions this week, but last week I sent in the one, which problematic area do you think will show the least improvement? Will it be the offensive line as in pass protection and run blocking? Will it be the run defense, or will both show improvement? And I think the answer was both showed improvement, especially down the stretch. I don't think, and here's the reason why. I don't think offensive lines just stunk when they were going into the wind, but were suddenly fantastic into the wind. Their line got it going with the wind better than than Michigan State did. States did. When we were having our second quarter, our second quarter where we couldn't do anything, where we're just losing yards with the ball. Guess what? They were only gaining about 2 yards in the same stretch with us leading into halftime till they finally figured out by letting Childs run around a little in the third quarter and get a couple of rushing touchdowns there. So that being said, let's see what we got here in the comments. Talk about the Road Warriors, the Oregon game. Okay, yeah, there we go. Fred Sacco. Loxley played at Towson. I hope he gets more time too. He's all right. Yeah, and Towson is in Baltimore, I believe. Well, I remember a few years ago, the Husker women, and this was before I pretty much started going, full-time running around watching them play. But it was when they went to a second straight Oklahoma State regional. I'd been to that one the year before, and the other teams were Wichita State and Maryland-Baltimore County. And I found that Maryland-Baltimore County team played 32 games and never left basically the Baltimore area except for 7. Like 25 of them were against different colleges in the Baltimore area. So for what that's worth. So yeah, that just made me think of Baltimore. Let's see. Pitt Snipes in. Pitt, you missed Mylie. You poor bastard. I finally got her in. She was ready for you. I told her you'd been talking a lot of shit, and she was gonna, she was gonna mop the floor with you. Yeah, she didn't say any of that, but I figured if I told you that, and then she'll be back. She'll be popping in again to talk a little volleyball. Thank you for your patience while I chug my drink tonight. Oh, here we go. Maryland with Frank Reich beat the asshole Miami Hurricanes back in the day, overcoming a huge deficit. Yeah, Frank Reich had a thing for that, didn't he? Because wasn't he? What they call it? Was it the Music City Miracle where they came back from 35-7 with backup quarterback Frank Reich under center, if I'm remembering that? Pitt Snipe says Frank Reich gets too much hate. Who hates Frank Reich? Well, I'm guessing whatever NFL team he coaches or is coached, then the NFL fans are mostly just insane battery chucks. I'd tell Lutoski, what's up? What the fuck's he gonna do? Block me? I'd run right by him. Fred, I don't know. I joke about that with hockey, because I had one of my kids when they were very young once, not realizing just how bad at hockey I was. And then a friend of mine, his son, like when they went to a UNO game, he was like, "Dad, you should go play for UNO." And his dad's probably about 46 at the time and skates like I do. And I remember this guy Greg saying, "Son, I think the only thing you'd hear if I tried to go out and skate with those guys is an announcer going, 'Oh man, I don't think he's getting up.'" And oh yeah, Fred, gotta go tell Lutoski, go run right by Lutoski. If I have never heard a better case of, "Oh, I don't think he's getting up," I think that'd be worse than me and Greg tried to skate with the Bavs. What's he got here? This week we're facing a team, yes, with the most sacks in the Big Ten and 2 killer edge rushers. Will we magically handle them this week? Asking for a friend. We didn't get ripped off the edge this week. Last week, absolutely. But if you watch, that was kind of self-inflicted, where we're just running backwards on the snap. And so those guys are getting like 2 free steps, to gain speed untouched. And I'd have to watch again because I forgot to try and keep an eye on a few of those plays. But I don't believe we were just pinwheeling backwards at the 2 tackle positions this time. So we'll see. We're definitely gonna see a better rush than Michigan State. Are we gonna see a better rush than Michigan? I don't know. That could be interesting. We'll see. I don't think we're going to be outmanned, but like I said, we're going to be going up against a pretty good coach, but we're also going to be going up against a team that is simply just go look at, get on ESPN and just start running those schedules back by the year for the last 10 years, and you'll see Maryland teams that get out of the gate 4-1, 5-0, and finish 5-7, and win 1 conference game. So I don't know. They're kind of in, as much as I just wrote a love letter to Mike Loxley. We're also talking about a team where with him at the helm, they get off to hot starts and then kind of jump in the toilet. So we'll see. That's kind of, it's like us beating a ranked team. We're going to believe it's going to keep happening until you show the show cause rules in effect. Show cause that we can beat a ranked team. You show cause that you can get to an 8-4 record after starting 5-0. We'll change our minds. Can't remember. Yeah, I think it was called the Music City Miracle because it was in Nashville, wasn't it? Or was it in Houston? Was it Houston back then? I thought it was in Nashville, and it was the Music City Miracle. So it would have been the Titans, or were they still the Oilers? I can't remember. But maybe we can look it up after. Somebody can look it up here. We'll be probably shutting her down here in a few minutes. But yeah, I think they came back from 35-7. Who was the receiver? The famous Bill's receiver for years. Nope, Oilers were in Houston. So maybe it was were they the Nashville Titans? Because it would have been in Nashville. Because or was the Music City Miracle the one? That might have been the one. No, where they ran the kickoff back, where they did the cross-field one hopper, and then they took it. I think that was the Music City Miracle. Yeah, Titans, Bills, and Nashville. But was it Titans, Bills, or was that just the kickoff return and not the 35? Or was the 35-7? Or was that cross-field lateral bounce lateral where they returned it for a touchdown? Was that part of the same game? That was the Steve McNair team, and they had the lateral on the late kickoff to score the TD. Okay, Air McNair, I remember that too. Didn't he get shot and killed? And there's like years ago, and there's a Netflix special. Okay, enough NFL. Oh, yeah, NFL. My NFL interest ended on Monday night when I officially won both my fantasy football games, and that's as deep as my NFL love goes. I was there last night in the bar, and I can tell you, watching a bar full of Chiefs fans. I guess I am going to talk about the NFL for another minute. A bar full of Chiefs fans. Just watching the emotional turmoil as Trevor Lawrence, dropped back, fell on his ass, jumped up, ran around in for, I think, what ended up being the winning touchdown, and just everything from weird noises. I had the woman next to me whose extent of NFL knowledge was, get him, get him, get him, and actually saying out loud, yay, Chiefs, yay, and I'm like, oh, dear God, save me. But just like she was making weird noises. There's another guy going, how down does he have to be? Elbows and knees, forgetting that it's only, you've only been, you're only down in the NFL since the frickin', Declaration of Independence was signed, probably before there was football. You're not down in the NFL until you're touched. But yeah, all of a sudden there are like 4 people that suddenly thought it was a rule again that it's college rules, and if your knees touch, you're down. But yeah, I was trying not to laugh because, if you ask me who would I prefer win, the Jaguars or the Chiefs, the Chiefs are 3.5 hours down the road. But when you just get lit up fans losing their minds in a funny way, not a, I want to fight everybody in the world way, then it's, I am just sitting there trying to, turn my head a little so they don't see me cracking up. Not the enjoying their misery, just enjoying the weirdness of it all. So, yeah, let's see. Yeah, here we go. Fred says, that's reason number 1,987. I have trouble watching football with the great unwatched. Yeah, it's just it just seems like, well, I can't say overall because we do have Alabama fans, but just when it comes to pure fury, it's tough to beat the NFL. I feel like there are some NFL teams that are more like college teams, and that would be the ones that are more like college-sized cities, although Kansas City is large. But like, it always seemed like Green Bay and Kansas City were more like college football fan bases locked in the NFL. I think, who was it? Jerry Taggy, I believe, played for, was it the Packers and the Chiefs maybe, but said that first of all, he was like, God, NFL crowds aren't that much fun. Just, going from a college crowd to an NFL crowd. But then saying, though, it still felt kind of like college crowds. Green Bay is like a college-sized city, that just the whole place, bleeds the team and nothing else. And there's not really a close second. And he said Chiefs, just with their their tailgating strength, almost reminded him of game day at Nebraska, where, hey, any concrete they can find within 3 blocks of the stadium, they're going to turn that into a tailgate, even if cars are supposed to be going down it or not. So, yeah, let's see. Yeah, Bills, too. There's a good one. Yeah, here you go, Fred. Packers, Bills, maybe Chiefs. Seems like college-style fan bases. Well, and then they also say the Carolina Hurricanes in the NHL, the National Hockey League. They managed to win a cup one year. I think they beat Edmonton. It was like the mid-late 2000s, and football fans who'd go to those hockey games said, "Yeah, this is like going to a college football game." But I think they're in Raleigh, North Carolina. So what do you expect? But Raleigh until you get into deep winter, too. You're tailgating at those hockey games in the fall, and then you're tailgating again in the spring. It comes Stanley Cup playoff times. And lately, they've been a pretty regular playoff team for a while now, and yeah, that's just good. It's good old boys heading in. And I remember somebody, when they heard that Alabama Huntsville had hockey forever, maybe it was on Jim Rome. He's like, "What the hell? That has to be dangerous as hell," because they score a goal and everybody yells "yeehaw" and fires their rifles into the roof of the building. That has to be dangerous and shit like that. What the hell? Says that little shit called back. I said, "This is my handy time." She said, She don't give a fuck. Pretty sure she's mine." This is my handy time. All right, I've been thinking about getting some Husker Happy Hour T-shirts, and maybe that might have to be the first one. This is my Andy time. We'll just draw a big drink full of ice. Yeah, I'm not really an umbrella guy. They see a straw coming out of a glass full of ice and brown liquid and no foam. They'll know what the hell's going on. So let's see. I guess, is there anything? I didn't really have any other Maryland notes. If anybody's going to be up Minnesota way, I'll probably be there Thursday and Friday night for probably I don't know if I'll head back Saturday or hang out with my son. I didn't see him in tonight. He may just want to sleep. Let's see, what do we got? Oh, nope, no problemo there. So yeah, I'll be up there for the Minnesota game. Our photographer Stephen Bruce, I've showed you some of his work. He's from that area, so he'll be working that game with the camera flashing. We're talking about maybe going down on the field and recreating another great Corn Nation on-field video. See if we can get dragged out like Stone Cold after spraying beer on Vince. I don't know. If we call their student section dirty names, like what was it John called them that got them so upset? Goof bastards or something. And I think it was one of those things too where it wasn't any kind of big deal until I think it was Mitch Sherman in The Athletic wrote a little article about a Husker fan having a meltdown on YouTube, and it was a good 10-minute screed, 15-minute screed from John, and basically he was just destroyed after we found a way to lose that one. And at the end of it, there was some students and I guess band guys in the other end zone, and he's like, "Yeah, go ahead and celebrate, you goof bastards." And Minnesota took umbrage and gave him a little break from being credentialed at Minnesota. But I got mine, no problem. I have no intention of besmirching the good name of Minnesota students. John actually earlier in that video talked about that their student section was a lot of fun, brought a lot of energy, and yeah, if you get the students bringing the energy, I'm all for them. I love a fired up student section. I still say when defending our own here, I don't know if I ever saw the students show up as hard to a game as they did for the 2014 Miami game when we finally got the Hurricanes into Memorial Stadium. And it's so funny where it's like, hey, we haven't played a meaningful game against these guys in 20 years or something. And it probably had been about 20 years in 2014. And what was funny was at that point, I was a member of I was the Midwest director of girls and women's hockey. So that for like Iowa, Nebraska, and Kansas. And each year we'd have our like Midwest meeting or our central district meeting in a restaurant in just the central district. Any of the reps want. It was this little Italian restaurant, look and be in the basement. It was like one of these little bunker Italian looking cinder block restaurants that's just gorgeous inside. We'd take over the basement. I'd literally fly into Chicago Friday night. As I'm boarding my flight, waiting to board my flight at Eppley to Chicago, here's the Miami fans getting off the flight that night for the game tomorrow. Well, the thing is, we go in at like 8:30 in the morning, have our meeting, be done by 11. I'm on like at 2 o'clock. I'm back to the airport at 2 o'clock, flying back to Omaha, and I've told them in Tigers, save me a seat. I don't want to be fighting for standing room. And they did. I go there occasionally. And literally my flight lands. I come flying straight from Eppley to several 72nd military there. Park, hop in. I beat kickoff by about 2 minutes. Perfect timing. And I'm looking on TV, and here's the place. You can see the stadium going crazy. And everybody's like, yeah, this is going to be kind of weird playing Miami again. I don't think it took 5 minutes of clock until in the bar. It's just double guns. Fuck you, Miami. It just comes rushing back. It's like it never left. It was like, with Colorado recently. It didn't. It's, oh, yeah, you bastards, every one of you. And that game was just the best because that's the one Randy Gregory was just sacking Brad Kaya left and right. And then this left tackle that couldn't begin to block him kept cheap shotting after plays. The fourth quarter is just flat. Miami losing all their composure, flag after flag. I don't know why. That was the game Amir Abdullah took personally. He had to run for about 230 yards, and he ain't running out of bounds. He is running he is running through people. If it's time to go out of bounds, he is putting that 5'8", 215-pound shoulder down into somebody's gut, and they just I think the final was 41-31, but they broke their will. And I just remember the students going, you could see on TV going absolutely crazy. And yeah, if you just got students going crazy, fine. Now, then you got Colorado students who are just little bitches. And, it's just, they were always like throwing shit on people. My favorite was when we went in there with Callahan as like 17-point underdogs. They've already won the Big 12 North. But you see, they just never had the culture. They get on a streak, but they had no heart when it came right down to it. And that was their players and their students. And this game, end of the third quarter, Nebraska wins 37-3. See, Callahan had these wins that I couldn't hate the guy. This guy dealt some ass kickings to some teams I really wanted on the receiving end of those ass kickings at times. And this was one of them. And their students just lost their minds, threw everything they could on the field. And basically the fourth quarter, you just see a big empty block of seats because the state patrol kicked the students out. The entire student section. You've got the will of a paralyzed rat. You are worthless and weak. You can't handle losing. Get out, go. And then they go out and lose to Texas, I think, 70-0 in the Big 12 title game, and that just broke the Colorado will. I think last year was like their third winning season in the last 20. They say Colorado broke us with 62-36. No. We finished them with 37-3, and they were lousy and had losing records for like 90% of the next 20 years or higher. So, yeah, bye-bye you student section. Anyway, but that's the kind of hatred I love. So let's see. What do we got here? Let's see. Get John there. Get John down there freaking out and flipping off the crowd. He'll be there, but I think he's going to have a few people with him, and he will be enjoying the game as a fan. What's that? That apartment needs goalposts. This is a house. This is my favorite old beat up couch, but this is a house. I don't know. We'll see about goalposts. Hell, it's enough for me to remember to vacuum. John's the reason I'm here, and now part of this Corn Nation thing. Well, See, well, he's not the reason I'm there, but he kept me on in some of my lighter years. That we were actually traded to coordination, I think, from Barking Carnival when Barking Carnival and SB Nation. That's kind of funny. Yeah, I'm here because of a Texas website that wanted to get websites from other schools going in the Big 12, and then that's still the Barking Carnival. Let's see, fist bumping Pitter, fist bumping, pit sniping, Freddie or fist bumping each other. John's morning videos feed my cheese. Says pit snipe Husker. Well, hell, we're gonna have to call him, make him Iron Fist Husker if he's gonna start centering his chi. Let's see. Well, even this year's Miami team isn't like those '90s Miami team. So those guys didn't play around. They practiced their asses off. I remember reading. Everybody just thought, oh, they're out there showboating and all this. Yeah, they do it. They were, but boy, Monday through Friday, their work ethic was legendary. They were out there kicking ass in 90-degree heat. As it turns out, that might have been the one thing that kept them from being better. Was the ones that insist on going out there and bust and just going nuts in the heat. That's breaking your body down, not building it up. I mean, it's fine to prove you can get it done in the heat, but you don't want to make a habit of it. It says, I love Miami being worthy of hate again. Well, and then they got Carson back, and he's kind of got that funny face that looks like the dude in Ice Age that's trying to hoard all the nuts or whatever with the two big eyes. The worst one I saw was before South Florida played them when they're on a roll where they, I think, beaten Florida and Boise State. And then they put a picture of Timmy from South Park up there, like, and then crossed out Timmy and put Carson as in back, and just said, "We're not afraid of this MF. We ain't afraid of this MF." And then Miami whipped their ass, but that was still pretty funny. Yeah, 2001 Miami. Nobody wanted none of that. Yeah, well, actually, we got to go to the Rose Bowl because we hit every number. It was just we got beat. Here was the killer one for me. First of all, Colorado. Oh, no, we beat Nebraska. We get to go. You lost 2 games. You're talking about 3 other teams that lost 1. You lost 2. Sorry, you're the first man out. And then here's the thing. Yeah, 62-36. So, because it's coming down to Colorado's 2 losses, they're out. So, fuck your head-to-head. But then it comes down to us and Oregon, who are both 10-1 or whatever. And, well, here's the deal. And here's what sealed it. We lost by 26 to the number 3 team in the country, Colorado. Okay, lost by 26. They lost 28-0, I believe, to Stanford, who was unranked. So I'm guessing our 26-point loss to the number 3 team ain't as bad as your 28-point loss to an unranked team. So yeah, we were in. And the thing about BCS was it was all laid out there mathematically for you. I was calling people up like that next morning because you had all the wild conference championship games, like Texas or Colorado. Texas beat Colorado, or was that a different year? Well, in any case, the formula was simple. You had the AP and UPI polls. Then you had I think it was 6 or 8 different computer polls, and all of those got hit with the same thing. And then you had and you're averaging your place in all these polls, and then it's a +1 for each loss. So when you're fighting around for who's number 1 and who's number 2, and you get a +2 tack to that, Colorado goes from 2 to 4 in a hurry. And yeah, each loss was a point. But yeah, the mathematics of it were pretty simple, and I did them, and I said it's us in Miami. No, and this is where it's easy to lose respect for McCartney for so many reasons, but this is one where he showed up with he'd had a little football in a glass case, and he always had that look on his face, and he's sitting there with that look and his little football in a glass case, and each team they beat, they put a little sticker with that team's logo on the glass case. So he's sitting there with his little lucky football and sticker covered glass case, and then couldn't believe they weren't going. It's like, Bill, this may sound, I should do it in Bobcat Goldthwait voice. Bill, this might sound a little nuts, but don't you know they had the fucking thing already figured out? You could have done it yourself. If you can't add or divide, you should have a math major nerd, on staff anyway, figuring these things out for you. How can you walk in there with yourself on national TV? And I get it. Maybe they're just saying, hey, pretend you don't know what's happening, even though the formula's public knowledge. Oh God. So yeah, I was laughing because I knew Bill might be dumb enough to not know he's not going, to think because he beat Nebraska we're going, and yay, we're the best. And yeah, it would have been fun to watch that Miami team. Oh my God. I got in an argument. We were in the middle of Miami fans in that stadium. And the ones we were around were fun. We're arguing football in Miami, Nebraska and whatnot, but we're having fun. We're not, and screaming at each other. But the one, they were like, that's crap that, was it Toretta? Was that when Toretta was their quarterback? Or Dorsey, Ken Dorsey. And they're going, Ken Dorsey should have gotten the Heisman, not Eric Crouch. That's a bunch of bullshit. And I went, Ken Dorsey? Best player in America? I said, he might be the 15th best player on Miami. It's like he's the best player in the country, Ken Dorsey. It's like, you got Bryant McKinney, Frank Quentin Portis, I think, was their starting running back. Their second stringer was Gore, and I think their third stringer was McGahee. And Gore averaged like 11 yards a carry as the backup. Jeremy Shockey was the starting tight end, and Kellen Winslow Jr. was the backup tight end. Jonathan Vilma at linebacker, Ed Reed at safety. Andre Johnson, wide receiver, who we didn't cover on one play. We were like Minnesota in '84, not covering Fryer. Just they got to throw an uncovered bomb to him at one point. That was the team, man, and shit. There was not a lot of shame in losing to that. Although, I remember the high point of the day. It's on YouTube. Is you can see Eric Crouch send Ed Reed for the ride, trucks him, and not like just a weird. He is going up the sideline, and then they show him, the first show shows him up the sideline, and then you see Reed coming across the field out of the corner of his eye, and instead of running out, you see him like see Reed, and then just turn and lower the shoulder, and Ed Reed goes flying. And it's a good hit because then you see the entire Nebraska bench right by that sideline just go berserk. And they show different angles. And no, Ed Reed had the angle, and Crouch just stopped him in his tracks and put him in the air. So, yeah, there's a happy place moment. And you say that with all respect for Ed Reed. Ed Reed, not a fake tough guy. Ed Reed was the real deal for years and years and years. And this was one time I told people, Eric, they love to make fun of Crouch, and the slick back hair didn't help the tough guy look at all. But that was one, I tell people that's one of the toughest motherfuckers ever to put on a uniform for Nebraska. The pounding he took, carrying it like 15 to 25 times and playing frickin' quarterback, they can make fun of his Heisman all you want. I was there when he made for that the Thunder to stunts to Crouch Heisman touchdown, the other Heisman touchdown run against Missouri, him winning it in overtime against Notre Dame. There's a reason Frank Solich went 52-19, and it wasn't Frank Solich. It was having Crouch to start there for 2.5 years. So you keep that in mind, because when Crouch left, that's when the Solich train went hard off the tracks. I felt so bad for that Northwestern team in 2001, because in 2001, like that, the year after the Miami game, that's their play. I think that was 99. Maybe that was 99. Yeah, the 99 when or 2000, one of those two. Or holy shit, because I think that's where they played when Nebraska outgained them by a shit ton, but fumbled it a bunch in the regular season, lost to Texas, came back and beat them 21-7 with Crouch like not really able to lift his throwing arm too much. He may have thrown it 7 times, and then they just what they beat like 63-10 or something. They beat poor Northwestern, and Northwestern fans were like, "What the fuck are they doing in this game?" Because I think they dropped to the Holiday Bowl or some shit like that. But anyway, good times with that 2001 Miami team. Holy shit, that was just an half NFL team, I think. What else we got here? I thought I was gonna find myself looking at like well over 2 hours, and I hit that. Fred's just telling Pitt about his drinks. Steven from Miami just doesn't look the same, unless they're breaking rules and taunting people. These kids playing for Miami now are a joke. Yeah, they're not running in like challenging cocaine cartel guys to fights. I remember in that 30 for 30. I think it was the first one. They did two of them on the U, and Michael Irvin and some of them. I think maybe it was Michael Irvin. He was either the one about to get him killed, or somebody else went up to him and said, "Guys, we got to go right now. I know you guys think you're invincible and all this because you're winning college football titles. These guys will take you out back, beat the shit out of you, then shoot you. Look, we're going. Well, let's leave the club. Follow me." Oh yeah, they had 2 live crew pimping them out and all that. Oh god. Yeah, Callahan middle screen versus Colorado was a great win, as was that weird Alamo Bowl in Michigan. Don't forget that he put 2 beatings on Kansas State, the Ron Prince / Josh Freeman, and the last one he sent. I think he sent Ron Prince off to his. He wasn't going to be far behind being fired himself if it wasn't the end of that year. It was the next year, but he put a 70-33 beating on Kansas State. And the end of that one was the best because here it is, a few minutes to go in the fourth quarter, and they've got a 4th and 20 at midfield, and he says, "Let's go for it." And Gans scrambles for a first down, and they can go get 77 if they want, but then they take the knees and run it out. And Prince, the Prince and Freeman was just dirty shit from K-State's end, and then Bo comes in. No, yeah, Bo came in and gave I don't know if Prince was still there. He probably was. I thought he and Freeman swam then sunk for 3 years together, and then Freeman left early to be an embarrassing NFL quarterback, and then Prince got fired. But yeah, he put the beating on. He put the beating on K-State. I did enjoy that. Yeah, he was only worthless in keeping Kevin Cosgrove around. I tell people it's even now I say, if he just would have gotten rid of his half-wit buddy and gotten a real defensive coordinator in there, he might still be here. He was putting up top 20 offenses by the time he left, and would refuse. But his buddy being happy and getting a paycheck was more important than the 150 kids he was coaching. So that was the problem. Fred says John will have handlers. I hope they let him loose. Let's see. John and Andy were in the Herschel Walker trade. Yeah, we came. we came to the Cowboys while. That's pretty funny. Yep, the Iron Fist. Yeah, Iron Fist. The worst of the New York City. What are the Defenders? The Daredevil, fantastic. Jessica Jones, fantastic. Luke Cage, all right. Iron Fist, can't quite hate it, but I'm still in love with Jessica Henwick, his sidekick, so I can live with it. Let's see what else we got here. Yeah, what a great era. Pitt Snipe, Big 8 fighting for their Orange Bowl slot. Yeah, and I remember Osborne was the minute we're not contracted with the Orange Bowl, you'll never get me back in that stadium. And I think wasn't the Tennessee when they whooped up on Peyton and his forehead, wasn't that in their last Orange Bowl? I'd have to check. Let's see. Oh yeah, here we go. Yeah, we argue so much about the '97 title. It's always funny to argue with the delusional Penn State fan that thinks they deserve the 1994 title because the Big Ten was a tougher conference than the Big 8 in '94. Well, here's the deal. We played the number 3 team in the country and blew them out of the stadium, and Penn State played the number 13 team in the country and gave up it was Oregon, I think, and gave up 512 yards to them. So no, bowl season was the go prove that you deserve it, and you proved you had no defense. Let's see. McCartney always looked like Art Carlson when he ran for mayor, and they made an angry-looking poster. That's pretty good. I'm almost that old. Let's see. Yeah, Ken Dorsey looked like Howdy Doody, but he was bulimic. Yeah, see, I started talking some Carson back, funny looks, and now we're rolling. 1997. I hope I saved the printouts. I shut down a Michigan board about who would have won back then, made them admit we'd win, cowards. Back then, I remember after the Jim Rome show, you'd have the Papa Joe Chevalier show, and Papa Joe was a lot of fun. And he wasn't a homer, but he knew he had a Nebraska crowd. It was because I think they were all coming out of some AM stadium out of West Point, Nebraska, and so sometimes the reception got a little shitty. But Papa Joe had it with everybody from Nebraska and Michigan yelling about who the real '97 champ was. So he got a hold of one of the big, I can't remember which one, but it was one of the big casino like Bally. Might have been Bally, because Bally had a really huge sports book. And he said he got ahead of like one of their top bookmakers and said, "Give me a line for '97 Michigan," and this is just a couple months later, so he's not having to dig deep. '97 Michigan versus '97 Nebraska. He goes, and I want a line for both natural grass, neutral field, natural grass, and artificial turf. And said the line came back on natural grass, Nebraska -7.5. Artificial turf, Nebraska -10.5. In other words, this is the just physically superior team, and '97. What we're rolling out Scott Frost, you're rolling out Brian Greasy. I mean, Bob Greasy's job was to not get picked off one of the 13 times a game they'd let him pass with Mercury Morris, Jim Kick, and Larry Zonka in the backfield, toting it about 55 times. So yeah, same thing with Brian. We're gonna run it on the ground, just throw it occasionally, so they can't just put a 8-man front on us. So yeah, no, that would not have been a real close game. I always said the closest game of '97, because everybody gave me shit for this, and we still weren't there with just, let's say, people of a paler complexion thinking that mobile quarterbacks were incapable, didn't have the capabilities to play quarterback just quite yet. Okay, we play, and here's just stationary as fuck Peyton Manning for Tennessee. And we're just busting him up all night long. And the last couple drives, they put in, what was his name? Not T. Campbell. Somebody knows the last name. T-E-E is his first name. And I said, if T had played, I was hoping to trick myself and remember it. I was like, if he would have played the entire game, T. Martin, there you go. T. Martin, thank you, Fred. If T. Martin would have played that entire game, call me crazy, that's a whole different Orange Bowl. I'm not saying we're losing, but we're not winning we're not up like 41-10 or something, or 41-7, and T comes in and we win 41-17 after T moves the ball twice. Well, guess what? T went out in '98 and won the national title. What, they beat Florida or Florida State? Florida, maybe. And T. Martin goes out and wins a national championship, and I'm just like, checking back. It's like, I wasn't saying that just for a hot take or to be a dick. I'm like, this guy can run. We have trouble with scrambling quarterbacks. Brad Smith comes to mind. Almost derailed the '97 team, at least, and got us knocked out of number one just for giving us an overtime game. So yeah, we were better than that '97 Michigan team. All right, let me take a final swallow here. And then nature is going to tell me I got to shut this thing down in a minute or two. So let me scroll through a bit here. Yeah, the Promise Keepers did it for Sal. Oh, God. Sal is dead. Go Big Red. Yeah, that was one of those just favorite hypocrisy moments of a Christian coach that, ethics, morals, Jesus. It's like, yeah, you know what? You benched Sal, you couldn't stand him, and then he knocked up your daughter, and then he dies of cancer, which sucks. I wouldn't wish that on a guy. But then Bill's like, we're doing it for him. Yeah, you had spurned him, fuckface. Don't even. That's just what killed me. It's like, yeah, and then does Promise Keepers. Yeah, keep him in the kitchen. Yeah, maybe Harrison Butker can. When Kansas City loses now, I do hear a lot of chirping around sometimes, though. It's like, whoop, maybe you should be making the sandwiches, Harrison Butker, which kind of, gotta admit, cracks me up. Let's see. I has Big Ten fans on my ship, too. They always said Nebraska wouldn't be able to run the option in the Big Ten as the defenses were better in the Big 12. We're pretty much done with option in the Big Ten. That was we hit the Big Ten with the spread, wishing I think we were running options still. Crouch took more of a pounding than a co-ed of Frost and Davison's O Street Sexton. Yeah, Fred Sacco, there's a shocker. Frank gave zero fucks about Northwestern, that Alamo Bowl, the three-way tie B1G champs, my ass. Now the Alamo Bowl I was talking about, we're still Big 8 days there. That was Solich, but that was Big 8. But because was it? Didn't we won that was like we won the Big Ten title, but I thought no, that was 2000. That's right. That was the three-way deal. And that's the one where we put that 63-10 thrashing on him. Yeah, Crouch was a warrior here, then learned to be a prima donna. I'll never forget him telling Michael Irving that he's too talented to settle for wide receiver. That might have still been in college because he went into the draft as a wide receiver. The Rams drafted him as a wide receiver, and then he stuck it out for like 3 weeks and then just said, he caught a lot of shit, just having a little too much pain, but then went and had I think it was surgeries on one ankle and both shoulders. So I'm like, well, if you were running through your first NFL camp needing that done, that's a weird. I guess I can see giving it a shot, because if you don't get your foot in the door that draft year in the NFL, it's pretty tough to ever get it back in. So I can see why he tried, but God damn, that's a hell of a place to be playing when you need that much shit repaired. It's kind of funny. The NCAA had to make new rules because Miami was running out of rules to break. I missed the convicts. Yeah, if you ever want some fun, go watch Convicts versus Catholics 30 for 30. That was a game, the Miami Notre Dame game, and then Miami Colorado, like Miami Notre Dame in South Bend, and then Miami Colorado in Boulder. And that was when people were asking me who I was for, and I was saying the terrorists. Like, I'm cheering for whoever will drop a dirty bomb on all of it. Just Miami, Notre Dame and their fans in stadium, Miami, Colorado and Colorado's fans in stadium. Kaboom! Let the evening glow was my prediction for those games. It was just my more nuclear version of Mr. T. What's your prediction? Prediction. Yes, prediction. Pain. So I wanted pain and fire, and let's see. Oh, here we go. We'll probably go out on this, and I'll take a quick glance. But Daredevil best, absolutely. Punisher next. I tie. They go Jessica Jones season 1 third. I was like Daredevil best, Jessica Jones and Punisher were a tie for second for me. Just because, my God, those three, all of them were alcoholics. Daredevil, Matt drank like a fish. And his buddies, Foggy and Karen, drunks. Jessica Jones, drunk. Luke Cage, and then Luke Cage came on in Jessica Jones. Jessica Jones, drunk. Punisher, drunk. Yeah, copy that, Clug. And then Luke Cage, I don't just go season by season. I just, it's all part of the same painting for me. Some seasons are better than others. But Luke Cage, better than Iron Fist. I loved kind of where Iron Fist was going. In a weird way, I like the dude. Everybody hates, let's say, Finn something that played Iron Fist. And he seems like a real likable guy. But he's one of those guys that keeps doing the same stupid things. And I get it. It's TV. But like I said, his little sidekick there, played by Jessica Henwick, she was also one of the Sand Snakes in Game of Thrones. Having her around made me forgive a lot. So, but great series. It's part of the Marvel canon now. Rock on. I love the Daredevil first year Daredevil Born Again. Have the Punisher running around that, and Jessica Jones, I've heard, is confirmed for becoming part of the Daredevil Born Again season 2. So, yay. All right, let's see. Hey, maybe we beat Miami in the Fiesta Bowl this year. They're looking playoff bound right now unless they fall apart. And anything's possible. Let's see. All right, we got to go. I got to go to the bathroom. I'm not going to lie. I'm not getting rid of you guys. It's just when you choke a bunch of Coke Zero and additives all night long, you got to go potty. So we're going to end it. We're going to put you out here. We're going to see you guys next Tuesday. We're going to get ourselves a road win in Maryland. Mylie's gone. Want to thank Mylie for coming in and talking some volleyball. She hopefully filled you guys in on the huge mess that is Penn State volleyball now. Penn State, still creepy and wrong. Glad to hear it. Good night. Go Big Red. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys, and we'll see you next week.